Yep.
Alright, hi everybody. We are going to get started. Welcome. I'm so glad to see you all. Thank you for coming. We have an in-person audience. We also have an online audience. So Colin Campbell, our assistant director over here, is running all of the tech, and so we've got some folks who are looking online who probably can't see me right now, so maybe we'll work.
There you go.
This is the first in our winter speaker series. The series is co-presented by Bluenose and the Fisheries Museum of the Atlantic. And we decided that we wanted to do something in the winter so that we have some ongoing activity through the year, but also so that we have sort of some touch points where we can engage with fans and friends of Bluenose if you're near across the country, maybe beyond. I don't know. Maybe we'll find out at some point where folks are watching online from. And so we have tonight planned. We have another night planned towards the end of February. We'll see a little bit more about that later. There'll be at least one more, depending on slightly not some details. But we are excited to have you. There's washing downstairs, it's fun. The best way to exit is the way you came in. So I think that takes care of all the housekeeping details there. And I guess when we come to the end of this evening's formal part of the presentation, we'll have some questions. So if there's anything here that you want to know about, just throw it in the back of your brain. And I would say that to me in the room. I'll also say that to folks online. Anybody who has questions, you can put them in the comment section. I'll go to my phones and we will take questions in person. I think we've worked out the technological ability to do that, which is very exciting. So I get to introduce our speaker for this evening. We are here from Capt for a while, and so Capt is going to walk us through sort of a year in the life of Bluenose. He first joined Bluenose back in 1987, right? And just finished his 25th season as the captain vessel. It is an incredible honor to get to work with him. He is very skilled, very talented, and he knows the ins and outs of the industry like nobody else. So, later, enjoy.
Good evening. I'd just like to Dan, you're the farthest away from me. If I start mumbling, say something. If you can't hear me, please, because I may just start mumbling. Online, just want to say hello to Ellie Mae's Tiki Bar in Florida, to the Marine Institute, people watching in Truro, and Gabe and Evan. So Chief Mate and the Bosun are here. And I think they are here to figure out what they think that I did last year. If the two things line up together, is that we all did the same thing. And to Heather and Dan, who are not. I've got about 100 slides to go through, so it's going to happen quickly. You read about how to give a PowerPoint presentation or a piece of keynotes. Both have 10 slides, but I can't tell you about a year 12 months, 10 slides. Just can't do too much on this. So this is going to go over. Hang on. And if you see that I missed something that you thought was important to you, I just didn't have it there. Tried to get sort of skim across the top of the words and give you an idea of what the is going to be.
That's just one second where it keep working.
Just going to have to wait because I've lost my presentation. Cool. Okay, so we're going to talk about the past year from about October 15th when the last crew signed off to this October 15th. So through the winter and all that stuff. So, who are our crew? Oh, yes. So, in the leadership, we have Mandy Osler as our director, and Colin here is assistant director. Director of Finance, Val Tanner, our social media storyteller, and Solos. In the store, we have Janet McIsaac and Tim Johnson and a bunch of young people at work who pay us off. On the ship, we have myself, we have Dave St. Denis, the chief mate, Dustin Dempsey, the second mate, Kevin Sika, the boatswain, Dale Robarts as the cook, and then we have a gentleman who's been with us for 15 years by the Ben Deal, and Ben Deal is a comment this year. So he's done, and there's new faces coming to join us. We also have a tremendous individual by the name of Greg Ingles, who works in our Travers Museum as our bush boat driver. And we have a crew of 14 young people, sort of between 19 and 26, 19 and 30. Last year, 4 returned. This year, it's going to be much the same. Leadership. Who's really driving the bus? So, Maggie, she's director of operations. She came to us from Castle, basically. So Maggie's skills, she's got regulatory knowledge of application. She's got experience at sea. She actually sailed in everywhere. She got 20 years or more with nonprofits and fellowships. She's got board experience and she's got foundation experience. All tools that are needed to run the ship. So I could not fit her job description on that sheet of paper. I probably could not fit it on that piece of paper. She's responsible, and this will be interesting for her because you're going to see what I think her job is. So, budget and oversight for two completely different operations, the ship and the company store. She has to look after the company store. She looks after the overall management of it. Looks after purchasing, profit and loss and stuff. She has to do the marine end of things. She looks after the ship, so the project management, crisis planning and response, staffing, and mentoring of us all. Reporting to multiple oversight bodies. The ship is operated by the Lunenburg Marine Museum Society, owned by the province of Nova Scotia. So both those bodies have oversight into what we do. As well on the regulatory side, it's the American Bureau of Shipping and Transport. In a crisis, Maggie is the point for the ship and the point of relationship, which is a tremendous thing that we do. So if I have a problem, I'm calling her. So that could be anywhere from sick crew member to run out of fuel, to run aground, to sinking. She's the person I call. And then she's a point of contact for everybody else. So whether I'm ordering a new pump or we're getting a technician in, that all runs in and out of her. We try and keep the ship operations to the end of the gangway, and Maggie does everything on the other side. Colin was 2 years on the ship. Dalhousie Bachelor of Commerce alumni. Worked at Lutwick Yachts for a while, doing yacht maintenance. And then he was the outreach officer for Nova Scotia Boat Builders Association. So all those things, the business side, having the experience on the ship, having the experience working on other ships, and then being an outreach officer, give him a tremendous skill set to come and work with us. So he's responsible for sort of top-level social media stuff, for keeping track of posts and responses. He sits on the hiring committee with us. and does all the reference checks. He's responsible for crew uniforms and all the pre-joining communication with the crew. He looks after the harbor cruises and charters. He's got oversight of the store as well. He looks after all the alumni activities, and he's our standby push boat operator and our drone pilot. So often if it's not me flying the drone, it's Colin. So, Emily Solos, she's our principal storyteller. So a lot of the social media come and go through her. She worked on the ship for a number of years. She was recruited and she did social media and was assistant director for a number of years. And now she's gone out and co-founded her own company called Lemonade Communications. She's a tremendous asset to us. She tells our stories. So she does the crew interviews, the ones you see online. She does the captain's logs with me. And she's the person that edits and frames and makes all that possible. So seasons change, the crew have gone, the ship has been hauled out. It's October 2024, and we're doing our 10-year ABS inspection. This, although it looks bad, this is a piece of wood that the ship is sitting on in the dry dock. It's not something structural to the ship. So all the ships have to go through inspections every 5 years. We're a commercial vessel, just like a tanker or anybody else. So that means that we have to pull the rudder, pull the propellers, take all the through hulls out. Tanks are inspected, propulsion systems are inspected. It's just an entire piece-by-piece inspection of the whole ship, and that happens basically every 5 years. So ships hauled out. We're always going to find something in a deep dive inspection like that. Otherwise, if you don't find it, then you're missing it. There's always going to be something to do, somewhere to spend money. Unfortunately, Maggie, but there you go. So this year it was stern tubes. The stern tubes needed to be replaced. And often with us, you're hauled out. You're not going to be hauled out for another big inspection for 5 years. You get a little quick haul out, maybe 2 years later. Are the stern tubes going to last or not? Right? So we're not sure, then you replace it. There's no question. You can't have flooded engine room or tie yourself up for 3 months in the middle of the summer and lose the season because you didn't want to do the work previously. So this happened right here at the Lunenburg shipyard, hauled us out. So like I said, no matter the type of ship, you're going to go through it. Bulk carrier, car carrier, oil boat, we all do it. It's all part of living in a commercial life. This Paul Baskett on the big slide there, he runs Old Town Boat Works. Tremendous group of people that do woodwork for us. They do our planking and our through hulls and that type of thing. The Lunenburg shipyard did the mechanicals for us. The guy starfish there is Trevor Church. He's a great diver, works for the town here, and he's been diving on the ship, and his uncle dove on the ship before him. And he works with a man by the name of Kevin Chisholm, who's a local guy here too. So they've always got a sense of humor and always fun to have in the water. We didn't get relaunched until February. So you can see Gabe there with some crew members. All the lines are frozen solid. They're just boards. So we take the ship back to the slipway. You may notice that there's no cover on the ship, and that's because the owners and the shipyard could not decide who was going to pay the insurance to move the ship around. So it was me. Then, okay, Phil will drive the ship, but that means that no cover on the ship. So season starts. In the winter, we look at a whole bunch of stuff. And I say we. Maggie and Colin do a lot of this, and I stick my hand in where it needs to be or where I think that I can help or where they want help or sometimes don't want help, but I'm going to stick my voice in anyway. Look at the schedule. We look at long, short-term maintenance. We do all the crewing interviews. They hire the store staff. We look at ongoing regulatory oversight because the rules are changing all the time, whether Transport Canada or ABS or Human Resources or the Labour Board. It's a shifting environment, so we have to keep track of what's going on. There's meetings with the Marine Museum Society, with the province of Nova Scotia, Tourism Nova Scotia, with ABS, the Accessibility Committee, the Bluenose Committee. Is there anybody else? Probably. No, yes. Yeah, so that's all happening through the winter, right? Get to do some cool things. Last couple of years, we've been invited to go and join the Heritage Fair at the local school here. So we get to go and see the kids' projects and see what they do and get to be I guess, guest judges. And they bring in people from all over the community with all kinds of different backgrounds, and you take a piece of paper and you go see the kid, you go see the project, and you go back and turn it in, you go do another one. And then we always go and see the Bluenose projects, whether we got picked to look at them or not. And they're a tremendous amount of fun to see what the kids are doing and where they are. So part of what we, again, Maggie with some of me, is try and look through a crystal ball and see what the next year is going to bring. So that's before the crew show up on April 1st, have to hire them, right? Have to come up with a schedule. We have to do inspections. What maintenance is upcoming. They have to staff the store, and we have to look at the regulatory changes. If you know young people, I'll look in online now. If you know young people that you think might be interested in the ship, bring them down this summer, introduce them to the crew, let them walk around, and then by Christmas time they should send in their application. Talk to deckhands, find out no experience necessary. We'll teach you everything you need to know as you see as we go through the slides here. We're just looking for nice young people to represent the ship, the province, and the country. Our saying is, you can teach nice people to sail, but you can't always teach sailors to be nice. Right? So in the schedule, we'll be invited to different festivals around the province or up and down the Eastern Seaboard, Great Lakes. We'll be looking at how many harbor tours we're going to need to do to meet the budget, where Maggie has gone with her crystal ball and said, I'm going to need this much money, so that means we need to do this many harbor tours. We'll look at events locally here in Lunenburg. Special requests, we'll look at seasonal weather trends. So you probably, if it's hurricane season, you probably want to be a place where there's a good, safe port close by. We'll look at fishing seasons, and then the province will often give us requests as well. And we look, I particularly, so Lee Devon's the bosun. He's responsible for all the equipment on the ship, the hand tools and stuff that we use. And we use it all, and we use it frequently. You can see here, who are happily sitting there. This first part of the week, they're trying to figure themselves out. They're becoming a crew that we hope are going to get along and represent the ship well during the summer. And it's difficult because they all have different personalities. Some of them want to be leaders, but don't have the skills to be leaders. Other people are natural leaders. It takes a while. Becca here in the bar was with us for 4 years. Tremendous young woman who became a real leader on the ship. There you go, there you can see the blocks. Every one of those blocks is taken apart, greased, hung up, pre-built for leather. So you can see Ben in there with Liv. He's the engineer, so he's making lists. Because while the mates are doing all their work, the engineer is going through all his systems as well. And the bottom right there, you can see a rough bit of varnish. So that's what happens when you have new varnishers. Right, is that you have that, and that has then got to be scraped off or sanded off, and you've got to go back to the beginning and start again. Yeah. Name boards are done. It just is endless. Just picture something on the ship, and it is scraped, sanded, and varnished, and put on the ship. So we're coming out now. Hopefully the weather's getting nicer. We're starting to empty the shed. The blocks are done, the spars that are in the shed, the deck boxes. And we're going to start to move on to the ship. Is what you started to see at the last picture there, is we're scraping down the bulwarks. If we've had a tough winter with freeze thaw, it's just going to blow the paint off the ship. And there's nothing you can do about it. It's just life. So you scrape all the loose paint off, you look for rot, fix what needs to be fixed, and put the paint back on again. You can see here they've had a tremendous whack at scraping and priming the ship. So she's white with primer. So that's all done on a raft, the old way. There you go, they're working away at it. Here you can see guys working aloft. That all has to be checked. Again, the crew are new, so they don't know how to go aloft. You've got to teach them that whole thing about how to go aloft safely. Yeah. Bottom right was a real killer for us this spring. We had a technician on board, and he broke one of our windlass drums. So that was 10 days without the windlass, with the windlass in parts. 18 days, sorry. Yeah, maybe I had blocked it out. Yeah, so that was just like 18 days without the windlass to lift things aloft, to lift, swing things on ship. That was a real killer for us. But the mates are tremendous at what they do, and kept the system going, kept it all going. You can see we get dirty when we're doing it. Yeah, they've been sanding the hull, I guess. There you go. Name boards are being inspected by Maggie. And then in May, it rains. We still have the wet weather. So those days, the mates have saved work inside the shed to do. So that the crew are working from 8 in the morning until the evening. Every day, 7 days a week. So we've got everything done. We've got the spars done. We've got the blocks done. It's uprigging time. Topmasts. Topmasts are a big subject on the Lunenburg waterfront. So the topmasts are the 52-foot poles that give the ship its loft. So often we take them down either for inspection, to do the wires, just to have a look at the mast. And which is great in the fall when you take it down. Your crew are experienced. They've got 6 months experience. They're good hands. And then you show up in the spring and you've got all green hands again, and you've got to put the thing back up. So this is where the mates really have to do their work, and train people to do it and guide them through it. Yeah, it's quite a project. You understand here, I'm saying Maggie does this and the mates do that, and my job is to drink coffee and complain, and I'm very good at it. So, there you go, people working aloft. There's probably a bosun or a second mate there. There may be a second or third year deckhand there, and there's probably someone who's never been there before, who 3 months ago couldn't imagine standing aloft on a schooner. There's an aerial shot just to give you an idea of how big the topmasts are. There's main and fore topmasts there with the white tips, and then our main gaff there as well. So big pieces of wood, probably weigh 1,500 pounds a piece or more. Once you get the topmasts up, then you can start bending sail on. Mainsail weighs 1,000 pounds. Right? So just to get the mainsail on is all hands. It's in the back of the truck, and just to hump it on the ship. Michelle Stevens is here tonight. Michelle made the mainsail. She made all the four lowers. And she's got a lovely little tiny loft on Second Peninsula, and those sails were dragged up and down her stairs over and over and over again. Bending sail is done the same way it always was. There's a picture, a black and white picture I think McCaskill took of the original ship, with guys standing on the bowsprit bending sail on. And that's done the same way, the same thing. Lunenburg waterfront is unchanged for 100 years. So we've been doing training. You got to teach the crew how to use sanders and scrapers, and our leading cause of injury on the ship in the spring is often sharpening a scraper. Right? So teach the crew how to do all that stuff, and then we change the whole program, and then we're going to take them out sailing and train them again on how to do the other stuff. The mates are particularly good at doing seminars with the crew. They'll do a knot lecture, they'll do nomenclature, they'll teach history, they'll teach basic ship knowledge. Gabe's a wonderful artist, and so can do, it gets better. But does incredible diagrams for the crew. There's a lot to teach them. You know, they've done the woodworking and all the refitting, and now we've got to do all the rest of it. We also bring in outside providers to give them a marine emergency duties course. So every crew member has fought a fire with a fire extinguisher. Every crew member has put on an emergency suit and jumped in the harbor. It just goes on and on. Here you see one of Gabe's diagrams on ship structure. So trying to teach the crew beyond what they need to know, how the ship is put together. You can see Evan in the top right there doing a knot lecture. And then in the bottom right is Life Raft Day, and that's in Sunnybrook, warmest waters in Lunenburg County. Anchor drills, here you can see an anchor drill that maybe didn't go so well. I think we actually caught a rubber tire in the bottom of the harbor. Again, more crew are learning how to bend on sail. Crew are also working down below in the galley with Dale the cook. Dale's been with us for 20 years now. 20 years. So during the spring, the crew work for 1 day a week in the galley. So that means they clean the toilets, they clean the ship, they vacuum, they wipe down, wash dishes, serve meals, the whole thing. And that's, you got to teach people how to clean toilets, you got to teach people how to wash dishes, you got to do the whole thing. Got to teach them how to furl sail. 1,000-pound mainsail does not furl itself, and it does not furl itself well for the first month, I can tell you. Yeah, how to work on a raft, how to go out on the end of the main boom. It all has to be taught. Comes the first day out. We've got the ship rigged, we've got the sails up, bent on, we're ready to go. Before we have our ABS inspector come in and say that we're fit to go to sea, we have to go to sea. So you've got to take these young people out and teach them how to use this big kit that they've just put together. So, emergency drills, emergency drills, emergency drills. We did somewhere between 40 and 50 drills last summer, I think, over the length of the summer. We just do it all the time, and trying to get to the point where it would just become habit. When you get to the point where, you know, the deckhand is just scared and doesn't know what to do, that they can put on their emergency suit without thinking. They can get out the mate's bunker gear without thinking about it. It's great to go out, but you got to have someone steer the big schooner. So this is this woman's first day at sea. She's driving the big schooner in Lunenburg Harbor. Last year was particularly wonderful. The Pride of Baltimore came in on our first day. And I think the Pride of Baltimore too came in, yeah. So I think Captain Miles was really hoping that we'd put up sail and have a big thing, and no, we're going to put the littlest sail up and down all day, and that's, if we do that, it'll be good. It's also the day that we change from grubby clothes to uniform. Go out past Battery Point. We've gone out past the lighthouse. We've been to sea, and I'm trying to make the mental change in the crew that you've done it. You have rigged and done a schooner. You've got it ready to go to sea. You have taken it to sea. You're going to represent the ship now. It's probably a bigger deal in my mind than it is in theirs, but I do like to go out in grubby clothes and come back in uniform. The training continues. You know, sails go up, sails come down, furl them up, put it all away, get it out, put it back up, take it down, and that just goes on and on and on all day long. And then in the middle of it, we'll have an emergency drill. At the same time, you're trying to get as many people to steer as possible. You throw an anchor in there, you may anchor for lunch. Yeah, and then the mates have to learn too, so they're hopefully doing their things and figuring out what's going on for them and where their responsibilities are going to be. More drills, they just go on and on and on. Even to the point of a wet gear, we'll do something along the line somewhere where we make the crew put on their wet gear. Because you know someone's going to tuck the wet pants into the boots. Right? So you got to teach them not to do that. Lovely bit of seamanship here in the bottom right, painting the cove line or the scroll work. But someone's got to teach them that. The mates have to rig up that scaffolding and teach them how to do that and how to do it safely. We've trained, we've been out, we've got the sails up and down. Hopefully more than once. We did do our first harbor cruise one year, and a passenger came back and said, "Your crew are really amazed by the size of the mainsail." I said, "Yes, I know. It's the first time they've seen it." Hopefully we don't do that. It happens, but hopefully we get out sailing with them, sails up and down, and just go through the process of it. And we do often, we try and take out maybe museum staff or school kids or somebody that we can do sort of a soft start to a public access season. So this is what our projected trips were last year. So you can see we spread ourselves fairly well around the province. Started off heading with a Peggy's Cove sail past. Love putting the ship near icons. We go to a lot of work when we're doing the schedule. If we're going to anchor in a bay, we try and make sure that there's a road nearby that people can stop and look at it. If we're going to sail along a coast, we try and make sure there's a road there. And Peggy's Cove is a natural. You've got a place where people bring busloads of people to see this Canadian icon, and you can put the picture out in front of it, and I hope at least half of them are crying when we go past. So, and we do something like this, it's planned on our part, and we try and do it, and we'll sail back and forth for as long as the schedule allows to get as many people to see the ship as possible. From there, we went to Terrence Bay this year. Tremendously foggy, so I don't know if anyone saw us in Terrence Bay, but there were some tremendous pictures taken. From there, went to Halifax. big change from Lunenburg for the crew, right? So often we get to dock with the Sackville and the Acadia, two tremendously historic ships in Canadian maritime history. They're in front of the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic, and I love going there. The boat school, new boat school is there at the museum. That's big ships, busy harbor. You know, when you see a car carrier going by or a bulk carrier or box boat or whatever, then your big schooner all of a sudden gets very small. And then the bow watch, they have an intercom system where they're trying to tell us what's going on in front of us because we can't always see. You know, ferries are crossing, there's a tanker coming, there's a harbor tour boat, and then they just get very quiet for a minute and then they'll start again. But it's a busy place. So coming back from Halifax, had a chance to set topsails. Again, this is new, we're trying to teach them all. Get up aloft and figure it out. And being aloft when the boat is moving is completely different than being aloft when the ship's at the wharf. They all have a chance to go aloft at the wharf. The more you do it, the better. And then it all changes when you're here. We really have to push to set topsails. You need the right weather, you need the time, you need the place, you need the distance. It's all going to come together in this sort of magical little place. And when it happens, you know, we're coming back from Halifax, we've been gone for a while. Everybody wants to go home and tell their stories to their loved ones or do whatever. And like, no, we need to set the topsails today because this day won't come again. You need to stay out and you need to make the magic happen. Again, you know, for us, the mates and I, you've got young people working 80 feet above the deck, often new at it, and you're just trying to hope that they can do it properly. And then start our public crew season. So that changes it all. Often when the crew are varnishing and polishing the brass and doing that, they don't understand why. Here it is, varnish it, put it on the ship. Here it is, scrape it and paint it, put it on the ship. They don't understand why until they start interacting with the public. And then they'll get that conversation that goes, wow, this thing is beautiful. And then they get to internalize that and say, yeah, I did that. I varnished that, I painted that. I helped put the sails up when we came in today and you saw that. Public cruises are great for the crew. More training, setting the storm trysail. There's Gabe and the second mate, Dustin, overseeing that. So you don't want to do that when it's blowing 30 or 40 or 50 knots. You want to do that on a nice day. So when it is blowing 30 or 40, 50 knots, that you can do it without killing somebody. Again, big heavy gear on the Bluenose. It's all heavy. There's nothing there that one person can do. And we're on our way from Lunenburg up to Port Hawkesbury to the Festival of the Strait. Sunsets at sea. Last year I emptied my cell phone camera. I took 15,000 pictures off my camera. I could do an hour-and-a-half presentation just on sunsets and sunrises that I've taken. I always enjoy them. It's a special part of being at sea. One of the things we did there was sail past the wind farm, the new wind farm, just outside of Port Hawkesbury. And then we help support the Festival of the Strait. Again, this is what we were talking about during the scheduling, that people invite us to come to the festivals to help bolster and get people to come and see the Bluenose and see the festival at the time. Other thing that they did, because we're going from Port Hawkesbury to Canso, was the Hands Across the Bay, and they're trying to get the biggest group of boats to come and welcome us in. So they had, I think one of the ports along the way was accused of cheating some time ago, so they actually had drone footage so they could count the number of little boats that were welcoming us in. So that was between Port Hawkesbury. In Canso, we had a bit of a work day. I came to breakfast one morning and the second mate is sitting with his coffee and he's just vibrating. He's got something to tell me. And I'm saying, no, just let me have my coffee. And he's vibrating, just let me have my coffee, please. And all right, what is it? And there's a new wire across the strait at the, see, Evan's laughing, Evan was there. There's a new wire across the strait by the Canso locks, which is too low for us. So our draft is 131 feet, and I think that wire is at 121 feet, so it's not even close. So that puts a tremendous problem for us in going into Northumberland Strait, to visiting PEI, to visiting Pictou, and to going to those ports. So because we had already arranged to go to Port Hawkesbury down to Canso, and we had a maintenance day in Canso, we used that day to take down our topmast. Again, there we are, new crew, never done it before, let's get at it. So with the mates, we lowered the topmast, and then Nova Scotia Power gives us a box on the chart and a time of low tide to pass underneath the wire so that we can make it. So, you know, there's lots of, well, you could just go closer to the shore, and you're right, on a nice day we can. But what if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and it's blowing 30 knots? Then you're gonna take off the ship's masts, so. And again, more drills, always, always, always. Coming out of St. George's Bay, you never know what you're gonna get. We've come out of there under Forceland Jumbo, and the wind come up out of the north, and we could not get out of St. George's Bay. We sent the crew up on the foredeck to take down the Jumbo, and the only thing that I could see from back aft by the wheel was their strobe lights going off because there was so much water flying around the deck. There's nothing behind us towards the Canso Lock except rocks, right? So we gotta go out the bay. Or you can have an evening like this. As the infrastructure changes on the older wharfs, we can't always get fresh water. So we had time, we're on our way to Pictou, stopped for the evening, stopped for the night, and turned on the water meter and made fresh water. What a night. Sat there, I put the drone up. I've got all kinds of useless video that no one will ever probably see. And it's lovely, and it's just a moment to sit and breathe and just relax. Just the watches are running, the ship's not moving, it's all okay. Just breathe. You've had a tremendous spring. You've been to Halifax, you've done Sambro or Terrence Bay. In Port Hawkesbury, Canso, you take the topmast down. Okay, just breathe. Just breathe. It's okay. Except for the warship that wants to cross your bow from port to starboard. Right? So you can never really relax. But maybe in those few minutes when the sun was setting, it was lovely. Pictou's a great place, port that we enjoy going to quite a bit. This is Chloe. Chloe's an alumni. Places we go, the ship's been operating for 60 years now, right? So we see alumni. This is Chloe bringing her kid down to the ship where she was, right? And I love having alumni come and say, this is what I did. I did this. It was important to me, and it's important to me now enough to show it to you. Back to part of our scheduling, you know, I don't have enough fuel anymore. So it's not Maggie, send me some fuel. It's organized ahead of time. But Maggie's the one that organized, okay, Sullivan's Fuels, they're going to beat us on the door. Can we check with the wharf people that it's okay to have a fuel dock on the wharf, or a fuel truck on the wharf, right? So it's a big thing. Rupert there in Pictou is a great host. It's a private wharf. He allows us to be there. He allows us, the public, to come on board. In these days of insurance and liability, that's a tremendous thing, and they're great hosts. So why were we in Pictou? For the launching of the Hector. God bless them, they invited the crew to go down and knock the wedges out from the Hector. So the crew of the ship got to go to the Hector and to be on site and to see this. What a lifetime memory for the crew, eh? To be there, to be part of that. So this is us at the wharf in the Hector. Again, she'd be a couple of years before she's sailing, but she'd be another ship taking young people out sailing in Nova Scotia, and that is always a good thing. Back to Lunenburg, I think this is the foggiest docking that I have ever seen. I've done some foggy dockings, but when we turned the corner to come into our dock, I could not see the dock. Bosun ahead of me in the bow, he's 140 feet in front of us. he can see the wharf, and he's telling us, yeah, you're okay, keep coming in, keep coming in. But we couldn't see, the mate and I back aft could not see the dock when we made the turn. You can see there, this is after we tied up, that's looking across at the Picton Castle one dock away. Yeah. So, and then the upper right picture there, that's looking at the company store from the wharf. So it was, that was quite an adventure. I'll remember that for a long time. Hopefully without screaming in the middle of the night, but that's okay. More training. This is something that Gabe has brought to the ship, is hauling a lot of the sails up by hand. He loves the crew to do it, and I must say that he's right. It's a great thing. They cannot do the mainsail. Mainsail's too heavy. But foresail, absolutely. And Gabe and the mates teach them to do that, teach them how to hold heavy loads and how to transfer from holding it in your hands to on the pin. I guess more skills to be taught. Deckhand for a day we're doing. 12 people out for the day with us. Gives you intimate knowledge of the crew and the ship. And it's tremendous for the deckhands because they all of a sudden are teaching the people that are with us for the 8 hours that they're there. They get to understand that they've learned how to tie knots, that they've learned how to set sail, that they've learned how to steer, and they're all of a sudden being able to give this knowledge out instead of taking it in. Tremendous thing. And we came out under sail, and it was okay. It was 10 knots, 15 knots, sailing along fine. Then it's 15 gusting to 20 as we come out along underneath Second Peninsula there. It's fine. Then it's 20 to 25. And, oh, this is great. This is awesome. We are flying along here. This is great. Past Bachman's Beach. Hello to Michelle. Then it's 25 to 30. Okay. And I'm starting to get wound up now. And we've got a dozen people, right, I have no idea who they are. Plus our young crew who have probably not been under sail in this much wind. So I looked at the mate and said, it's 30 knots. If this hits 35 knots, I'm done. It's all coming down. I'm done. And about 2 minutes later, he sort of leaned over and said, Cap, that was 37. Okay, we're done. We're done. Take it down, get it down. And by this time, the sea is building because we're outside of the shelter of Cross and Big Duck, and the ship's starting to pitch, and the waves are starting to come on deck. And anyway, Evan did take some lovely footage. It was just proper schooner breeze there before it breezed up too much. The guy in the top right is a local tourist operator. Love to have him out. And then in the bottom right there is Davey and Sky, who do a lot of social media for Nova Scotia. They're very positive people. We get letters of thank you from the people that come out with us. They spend a lot of money to come out and spend the day with us. Invariably, they talk about the crew and the generosity of spirit in the crew and how nice it was to meet the crew. And oh, it's cool, because when we hire people, we're looking for nice people that represent the ship. So if you can put them on stage for 8 hours, they have to be crew members, not 4, 8 hours they've got to be there. And someone's going to write and say, listen, I had this wonderful experience with this young person who talked to me and spent time with me. That's a win. That's absolutely a win. So after Deckhand for a day, which was out of Lunenburg, we go over to Mahone Bay. That's where I'm from. So for me to sail into Mahone Bay, that's the kid at 10 years old or 12 years old that was sailing a dinghy around. I can see myself there. That's taking the Stanley Cup home for me. That really is a special place for me. And then the lovely thing about going to Mahone Bay is if the weather's good, then we have the time. And we can set topsails. We can set topsails for the day, and we can sail around the sheltered Mahone Bay from East River, Aspategan, all the way to Lunenburg. From there, from Mahone Bay, we spend the anchor in Mahone Bay for the night, and then over to Indian Point. There's a lovely little fishing community, and they really bring it on. There's a minimum of 50 boats every time that we go in there following us in. Roads are lined with cars. It's just a tremendous community that come out to honor their fishing heritage by honoring the Bluenose. So we had a particularly good year this year. We carried topsails in there, and that was a lot of fun. Also had a chance to wash the crew. That's always fun. They get dirty. Yes. Yeah. Again, this is not just, hey guys, go for a swim, right? This is who's standing watch. You're only swimming in one place on the ship. You're either, you guys are at the front of the ship or the back of the ship. It's not just willy-nilly. It's guided fun, let's put it that way. Controlled manner fun. Back to Lunenburg again. Just had a lovely day. Again, topsail set and a chance to come inside Battery Point with the topsail set. Again, you're nosing into that 200-foot wide channel, so before you do that, you better be sure you know what's going to happen at the other end of it. Off to Whitehead Days. What a lovely little fishing village. They had a parade there. The crew marched in the parade. One of the locals said to me, should we get a float for them? I said, no, it's all right, they're in shape, they'll walk. And how long was the parade? Was it like 3 or 4 miles? Yes.
But it was not so far that we couldn't sprint back to the ship after.
Yes.
Stuff, so.
Yeah. So again, this is, you know, the crew representing in the community that we go to. Also, Bill and Stanley Oyster Company in Whitehead launched their Bluenose oysters. So there's a Bluenose oyster out there. They brought the world alongside to see us. Their staff, they brought the provincial vets, they brought people from the Department of Fisheries, and did a proper launch of the Bluenose oysters. Gave us all oysters, and then took the majority of the crew to the oyster farm. And so the crew could see how the oysters were raised and what was going on. So, lovely thing. From there up to Northern Yacht Club in North Sydney, sailing for 100, the yacht club's been in business for 100 years. Yeah, they're great hosts to us. They have a new yacht club there. Love people come out to see us, and it's a different feel than when we go and tie up at the Big Fiddle in Sydney proper. So junior sailing program there, they all come aboard and get their picture taken and wander around and ask questions. And then you can see the standard of our mates there dressing up. Yes, Evan was on watch, I will say, so he was stuck on the ship, but the mate and second mate certainly brought their A game there. From there, I think we're back to Lunenburg and then off to Liverpool. Again, the Brooklyn Yacht Club, tremendous reception. They had the crew in for some pops. The arrow there is pointing to a Canadian flag, and that's where Kim from the store lives in Liverpool. And she climbed through the woods down on the beach and put up a Canadian flag just to wave for us. So, you know, we are all Bluenose groupies, no question about it. More drills there. We did immersion suits. Gabe and the mates ran them through recovering a person from the water into the rubber boat over and over and over and over again. A tremendous roll there in the anchorage. Even though we're all the way up by the old mill, the top of the mast was rolling through about 50 feet, about 10 degrees each way. So you could look from the yacht club, you could look at the masts over top of the old mill, and you could see it going, oh yeah. Oh. From there down to Cape Sable Island, they put on a show. They had music on the wharf. They had local craftspeople on the wharf. And then Vanden and I had the honor, I can't remember her name, I'm sorry. She's pushing 100. She's got one of the fanciest Lunenburg foundry stoves ever invented. They've got stuff, they came down and looked at her stove, and she had more stuff that they ever knew they made. And she's got the salesman model for it, sitting on top of it, and she still uses it to make biscuits. And she gave us biscuits to take home with us. She's also got a 5-hole outhouse, which she took us, she's quite proud of, which I've never seen before. She's lovely, and the people there took us to show us their museums and to drive us around and introduce Vanden and I to people in the community. From there to Yarmouth, had a great visit in Yarmouth. Sorry, there, I've done it. The Tourism Association bought the crew pizza in Yarmouth, brought them all pizza. Down to getting to the land of big tide, so we can only be open a couple hours a day. Petite Passage, again, time and place. Coming out of Yarmouth, heading towards Digby, you've got to, because of the tides, and got to hit Petite Passage at slack water. You've got time to set the topsails in St. Mary's Bay. great, get them up, put them up. And we're going towards Petite Passage, which is quite narrow and can be current filled. And we've hit it at slack water. That's all planned by the second mate. He's worked out when we need to be there. And we go through the passage under full sail, which led to some tremendous photos online. That was a very exciting day. And we carried topsails for most of the night and showed up in Digby the next day through Digby Gut with topsail set. And there we were given a nice scallop lunch, Digby scallops. Being in Lunenburg, I can't comment on the quality of Digby scallops versus Lunenburg scallops. But the lunch was lovely and it was much appreciated. From there down to Lower West Pubnico or Dennis Point, more training. Bottom right there, you can see Gabe is teaching some of the deckhands how to use the rubber boat as a push boat. Often we go into places that are small and tiny and we need to rotate the ship quite dramatically. So we call it the rubber tug. We have a big push boat here, purpose built, but here when we're traveling we often use our rescue boat. Also bought a busload of senior citizens down, and one of our deckhands, unbidden, is up into the bus talking to the senior citizens, right? Lovely. Amy, this is Amy. Amy joined us in Yarmouth. Our summer students have left. We get some fall people joined us in Yarmouth. Fall fill-in. So her idea of the ship is free pizza, topsails, Petite Passage, Digby Gut, sailing all night under the stars, free scallops, out of the bay, star-filled night to Lower West Pubnico where the town shows up and there's all kinds of people. And then this is their first harbor cruise. Your first harbor cruise? So we're blowing out of Lunenburg Harbor at 10 knots with a deck load of people. So it took her a while to figure out what the Bluenose was really about, and it's not this little magical dreamland that she could parachute it into. Also get some special guests on the ship sometime. This year it was the local RCMP, and you can see they draw quite a crowd when they show up to the wharf. And pleased to have them aboard. More harbor tours. We do 100 harbor tours a year, 110, 120, somewhere there. It's not a day sail schooner, but there we do them. There's Gabe with Wally the Wonder Dog, Wally and Penny. Wally's a therapy dog and does the waterfront cruise all the time when he's not busy, and comes by, and crew get a chance to go out and see Wally and talk with Penny and get a little dog therapy. We're now in Sambro. We're deep into the fall, doing another Peggy's Cove sail past, under topsails this time. And then this young gentleman, love having kids on board, particularly in small fishing villages. This guy happened to be our 50,000th visitor for the year. Wow. Yeah. Gabe was on the wharf, and we sort of, that looks like a nice kid, and we count every soul that comes aboard is counted with the clicker, and when he stepped aboard, the bells were ringing and the horns were going off, and he didn't really understand what was going on, but he got hats and pins and all kinds of neat stuff. So, and more training. We're doing fire training today, and Gabe and Dustin are in their bunker suits. We have to be our own fire department. The help's not coming if you're at sea. So. From Sambro, past Peggy's Cove sail past, alumni Ray Jean-May, whose son is on the ship, took this. One day I'll be able to see that view myself. Yeah. First time I ever saw the ship under full sail, we were off Yarmouth. I was captain. Got in the boat, had the bosun take me off, took a picture of myself in the boat with the ship under full sail behind me. Right? Sent it to the old man, my old man. said, did they mutiny? Did they kick you off? No. So came all the way down along past Hubbard's, all along that shore of St. Margaret's Bay into Head Harbor, all the way back out again. Coming back out, the wind's piping up a bit, so we're taking sails in and then going anchor in French Village. Again, good road, good access, yacht club there, lots of people out to see us. Paddleboards and boats are popular, or paddle boats and dogs. We see those quite often in our anchorages. And then the bottom is a crew from the Maritime Museum of the Atlantic, who'd all got in the boat and with a local and come out to see us. Yeah. Len Wagg. Len's a fantastic individual. He's a photographer for Province of Nova Scotia. You probably have seen his books on hurricanes and storms, and I think he's got 15 books published. He comes and takes pictures for us, free, donates them to the ship. As well as the work he does for the province, he'll also come and do things for us. This one he'd been pestering me to do for quite some time. The guy on the right is Blair Burgoyne. He grew up in Mahone Bay. He's a local. He worked on the ship for 5 or 6 years, I think, ended up as bosun. This year was the 40th anniversary of him taking the original photo on the top there. And that was the first picture that Len took that made it worldwide. So early one morning, we took the ship outside by the Lunenburg shipyard here, and Len said he couldn't climb aloft anymore. We were going to have to hoist him aloft. And Blair was willing to climb, so Blair climbed up, and we took the picture 40 years later. Len is a tremendous friend of the ship, and it's an honor to have him aboard. There's some of my cohort. So you think 60 years of guys sailing together, guys, girls, people, crew sailing together. I still talk to these guys on a regular basis. So that's one of our hopes for the crew, the young crew that we have aboard, is that they make those friendships that they will carry on for the rest of their lives. HMS Oriole's in town. Again, love to sail with other tall ships, whether it's the Pride or the Oriole. The captain of the Oriole and I would often talk and try and put the ships in the same place at the same time. And in the background, we're always watching the weather, particularly in the fall. We get into hurricane season. And like, is that coming? Is it going to come past the coast? Is it going to leave us big seas? How's that going to affect our schedule in the future? And harbor tours continue. We did it. We finished the season. We're done. They take the sails off in a day this year? Day and a half?
Yeah, no, a day.
In a day. Yeah. So when I left it, we sailed in at 3:30, and by the next morning there wasn't a sail left on the ship.
Wow.
Right? That's that 1,000-pound mainsail humped into the back of a truck while it's dry. Is every sail gone while it's dry? And once the sails are gone, the blocks are down, the halyards are down, topmasts are down. It's easier now. The crew are trained. They've been training all summer for this. But in the back of my mind is in the spring, is who the hell's going to put it back up again? Sometimes, if you're lucky, we take 2 weeks. We take from October 1st to October 15th to downrig the ship. If the crew are motivated and things are going well, then you can get it all off and you have time to do a little bit of maintenance. This year they stripped the foredeck. So that means Gabe takes a truck, he's over, he rents every sander he can get, floor sander he can get his hands on, and we strip the deck back. We do this, try and do it every 10 years, depending on how often and how much foot traffic we have and everything. There you go. Final season barbecue. That's Greg Ingles there. He's our pushed out driver and sits in the little museum at the head of the ship. Tremendous asset to Lunenburg. He meets more people. Whether we're out or in, he sits there and talks to people and tells them about Lunenburg and tells them about us. And you can see the frame is up. And there's the photographer on the left and the picture he took on the right. So everything is tagged, different color tags from what mast it comes from. All goes into deck boxes and put away. All the halyards are hung up, sails are put in a shed, anchors are off, anchor chain is off the ship and flaked on the wharf, booms and gaffs are off. As much weight as we can get off the ship as possible. And they're gone like that. It's quite a thing. You know, you hire these young people, you watch them, hopefully they get it, hopefully they grow and that they're different people when they leave. And they walk down the gangway, and some of them you never hear from again. Some of them you do. Some of them bring back their kids or their wives or whatever, and they talk about their time aboard the ship. Unfortunately, I often have to say, who the hell are you? Who did you sail with? I don't remember you. And then this year, this is Vanden. So after 15 years, I was joking with Vanden that I was going to be the last person to take him around Battery Point. So on our way from our summer dock to the museum, we went out and snuck around Battery Point, and that was Vanden's last trip. So we've got an upcoming talk in early March, end of February, somewhere there. You can see Gabe here sitting on the bowsprit. You can see Becca where the bowsprit used to be, and then Paul Basket with his knife out where the bowsprit used to be. So we're going to have a bit of a talk about that. And the life of the bowsprit through that whole season and what led us to do the work on it that we're doing. Oh, thank you. This photo was taken by Lunenburg Michael. He's a lovely supporter of the ship. And the reason I'm pointing at him is because often you don't see him take the pictures, and all of a sudden there's photos up on Instagram, and he takes all kinds of pictures of the crew and who they are, and he sends it back to his home as a promotion of Lunenburg, just to say how lovely Lunenburg is, and people should come to Lunenburg. He showed up, 2 buckets of lobster here, and just walk away. Bag of apples here, walk away. Here's some chips for the crew, walk away. Lovely. And that often happens with places we go. You go to Sambro, you're given cookies. You go to Whitehead, you bring in your oysters. Northern Yacht Club invites us to a dinner. Yarmouth brings us pizza. The communities love to come out and support the ship. And I hope that they're recognizing that we're trying to tell them their story or representing their story. During open house, I love when you see someone talking to a kid about what it was like in their port. If you're in Terence Bay, you see someone with some knowledge of the history of Terence Bay telling someone, oh, the schooners used to come in here. They used to anchor there. There was a fish weir there. That knowledge will happen in the post office and the grocery stores for the next couple of weeks. It's a good thing to take the ship. It's a good thing to travel around and to allow the Bluenose to be a lens for the history of the community. And the people online, thank you for your support too. Although in public last year we had 60,000 people across the decks, it took 7,500 people out sailing. Right? It's a big outreach, however you want to measure it. But we do millions in Facebook, right? And often the people that are judging how well we do, although we don't necessarily see it, are doing it on the social media side, that we can give them a number. We've had so many reaches, so many pass along, so many whatever. So, you know, Maggie, Colin, and Emily are really a big part of telling the ship's story to a broader audience. And it's great for me to take the ship and to make sure I know that if I sail along this road, someone's going to call and complain about the traffic, whether it be Mahone Bay or St. Margaret's Bay, right? And it's great. Now, a lot of people see the ship, but those people got to tell the story. They've got to put it out on the internet, and that means that these guys got to catch that and broadcast it further. So if you people online can help support us by telling our stories, come and see us, come to Lunenburg, come to Nova Scotia, come see what we're showing, but also tell people what you're doing. There you go. A year in an hour and 2 minutes. That's good, because I had no idea how long that was going to take.
Okay, let me just get my microphone working here. And I think I'm going to speak into it so the people online can hear me too. We're going to take some questions. And so anybody who is watching online, you can write your question in the comment section. Have I got that right, Colin? Yep, if there are questions there. So we'll take questions from online, but we'll also take questions here in person. Does anybody have any questions? Yeah, I'm actually going to get you to speak into our little microphone.
Just wondering, what's the longest voyage the Bluenose 2's ever had?
There's no question, the longest voyage the ship had was in 1986, through the Panama Canal and up the west coast, to Expo 86, yeah.
And were you captain then?
No, I was not even on the ship, before my time. Yes, yes, I joined the year after and got to hear the stories. Yes.
Any discussion about maybe taking her up to the Great Lakes and again, Toronto, and, or is that a sort of a political thing more than, I wonder how those decisions are made.
It's not political. It's not political. It's often budgetary.
Yeah.
And there can be, we know ballpark, as long as I don't do anything stupid, how much it's going to cost to run the ship a year.
Yeah.
So if we're going to go up in the Great Lakes, we're not going to get to do harbor cruises, so we're going to lose that money, so we have to make sure. There is a small p political in that if we're not here, then people say, well, I came here to see the ship. The ship's where I'm from.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's, you got to do a bit of planning when you travel. And to the people that say that we should be here all the time, name me a tour boat in Toronto Harbor. You can't.
Yeah.
So if the Bluenose becomes a tour boat in Lunenburg Harbor, then her worldwide knowledge, other than what we can get out on Facebook, will go. You have to see it and experience it and have the ship there.
Yeah.
So it's worthwhile for me. The provincial traveling is good because it gets guests and travelers to come around to go to the smaller ports, to go to the festivals. It's good for the communities that learn about their history and can use the ship as a lens. But to go outside the province means that you're asking people to come back, which is a whole different style of storytelling. I think last time we went into the Great Lakes, we had 120,000 people on the ship, and I think I did 105 interviews or something, live TV or radio.
Yeah.
Right. So it's a big thing. Small p politically as to why isn't the ship here?
Yeah.
Because she needs to travel. She needs to be an ambassador, in my view. But also we need the money, whether harbor tours or the festivals are going to pay us. Is that a fair answer, Maggie? Are you?
Yeah, absolutely. And I would say too, like sometimes in so much of our schedule planning, it depends too on like what's happening in those events or in those ports. So like in 2019 was the last time the ship went up to the Great Lakes. And the big reason was because there was an event called the Tall Ships Challenge where every weekend for 10 weekends in a row, there were different festivals in different cities all around the Great Lakes. And so that was, that sort of gave us a special reason to go for a big event like that. Yeah. Colin, do you have questions online?
I have 3 questions.
Okay, hold on.
I lost my spot. Are there any special events that you will be a part of this year?
Our schedule has not been released yet. It's coming soon, is it?
I hope so, yes. Yeah. So keep your eyes peeled. It might be a few more weeks before we can announce, but we'll let you know.
So when we do our schedule, Maggie will come up with a schedule with invites and want to do this and this and this, and she'll give it to me and I'll go through with the practicalities of it. And I can't make it between here and those times, or this port, I'm unhappy with this port. Can we do it here? Whatever. So we go back and forth. Then it goes up to the board for approval, the Lunenburg Marine Museum Society. Okay, you can do that. Comes back and then it goes up to the province. So the Minister of Tourism, or CCTH, I guess, is the guy, and he rubber stamps the end of it. Yeah. So it takes a while to go through that process, and then when it comes back to us finally, then we have to check with all the ports to make sure, double sure that there's dockage for us that we can go there. Make sure that we have to upload all the harbor tours onto Starboard Suite so that you guys can book your tickets and go for sale.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool. What else do we have online?
We have another question. Will you be replacing the entire bowsprit, or will it be repaired?
Tune in and find out.
It's already online.
Yes. So it's a new bowsprit, and I'm hoping that Paul Baskett from OTB will come and talk to us and talk about where we got to, how we made that decision, and yeah.
Cool. Do you have another online question?
So we have a couple more. How many young people get hired every year? Do any of them come back for multiple years?
We do. We hire 14 young people. Last year, 10 of them were new, so 4, and this year, 10 of them will be new again, bring back 4. There's always an argument between, it costs money to train crew, to put them through an MED course, to put them through a first aid course. It costs years of the mate's life when you have mates and bosun life, when you have all new crew, and you have to teach everybody everything all the time. So somewhere in there is a happy number between having a crew that are really good and they can do it all the time, and a crew that you're giving as many young people, principally from Nova Scotia, to come and have that opportunity. And we get young people that we love there. You know, if you ever feel down about young people today, just come and stand on the Bluenose for a while and talk to my crew. They're incredible young people. But you need to meet the next one. You got to get rid of one so you can hire the next fantastic person. So it's a process. Yeah.
Cool. Let's do one more online question, then we'll take some more questions in person.
Sure. Another question here. When can we expect Bluenose sailing up the Bay of Fundy again? Would love to have you docked at high water at our Halls Harbor Wharf. Craig Parker from the Halls Harbor.
Yeah, that's a risk reward one.
Yeah, and we'll see about the Bay of Fundy, and keep an eye on our schedule,
Yes,
and if
yeah.
not this year, then certainly sometime in the near future. Yeah, we really try and get around to as much of Nova Scotia as we can. We've started a list of where we've been and what ports we've been visiting, and you know, there are some that we're more likely to get to a little more often, but we also want to make sure that we get to the ones that, you know, maybe we don't see quite as often.
It does belong to everybody.
Yes, absolutely, absolutely. Any questions in person?
I have a technical question.
Hold on.
Just, you mentioned that you use the windlass all the time to raise the mainsail. Like
Yes.
the crew can't do it.
No.
Like, but they used to be able to do that on a boat this size.
With how
right?
many people?
Okay. That's just the-
Yes. Yeah, we don't carry as many crew as the original ship did. And they weren't doing it twice a day. They're not harbor touring it, right?
yeah.
So they put it up and go sailing and then take it down or put a reef in it. And yeah. Gabe and I have agreement. He thinks that we can get it up under hand power. Last time I saw it done, it took 40 regular people and crew, 20 on each halyard.
It took 25 of us to get it out of the sail.
Yes. Yeah, so sail's 1,000 pounds, boom is 3,000 pounds, gaff is 1,800 pounds. Yeah, so it's a lot. Yeah. And again, risk reward, it's fine with the foresail, but if someone lets go of it, or if it slips, or they don't make it on the pin, then it's all coming down. Yeah.
How long does it take the new crew to get their sea legs?
Some of them could be from the prairies, and it's like they did it all their lives, right? You don't have to, they just tell them what it is that their hands are doing, and that they can steer the boat in a straight line. Others will get seasick on the Halifax ferry. And that's not a lie. I've had crew members that even after they left us, were living in Halifax and going to NSCC and going across the harbor every day on the ferry, and they said that they got queasy on the ferry going across. And I've certainly had people, you know, sitting at the galley table and just where we would even not notice as a roll rolling. Our problem is we don't sail enough. So you can sail to Cape Breton and get a couple of good sea days in, and then tie to the wharf for 4 days. Or you can be here for 10 days doing harbor tours and in the flats of Lunenburg Harbor, and then be expected to go out into 40 knots of wind in rough seas. And you never, so once you've got it, okay, I'm stopped throwing up, I'm gonna be all right now for the rest of this trip. But then you tie to the wharf again and you lose it all and you have to relearn it. That relearning period changes with everybody, and it certainly changes personally with me. How tired am I? How worried am I? Is it day or night? What's going on? Am I, you know, it's much of a mental game as a physical game for a lot of us.
Are they allowed? Is the crew allowed to take anything for seasickness?
Oh God, yes.
Oh, okay. All right.
Oh God, yes. Dry crackers and ginger ale and work your way up. Yeah. No, so again, In the same way we have to be our own fire department, we have to be our own medical department as well. So you have a medical officer on board. So, you would start with crackers and ginger ale, maybe Gravol, maybe some other thing, or, suppository. Because you start to worry about dehydration and throwing up all the fluids. And so, yeah, it's a thing. It's a very serious thing. So there's lots of smart people that have figured out the best ways to get around it. So, and often, as we all know, it's holding on the wheel and staring at the horizon and steering. But you got to stop throwing up long enough to do it.
Colin, do we have any other questions online? No, we've got everybody. Any other questions here? Yeah, give us another one, Scott.
Do you have any lifelines for when they're on deck at night
Oh,
and
yes.
things like that?
Yeah. So they all have inflatable vests with a tether and a hook. So if they're on deck, they have to have it with them at all times. Don't have to wear it. They have to have it with them at all times. They can wear it anytime they want. You want to put it on? Put it on. You're good. Or, I will come up and say, or the individual mate on watch will say, no, put it on. I want everyone in their harnesses now. And then again, then getting a little rougher, then there's a line around the deck as well, so that they can run the length of the deck tethered to the ship the whole time.
That's as well,
Yes.
of course,
Yes.
the top of
Yeah.
the boats and
Yeah.
onto the
So
boat.
it's on anytime you want, wear it. You're happy to wear it. We're happy for you to have it. But if we say put it on, you can't tell me that I got to go get it. No, it's right there. Put it on now. Hook yourself in.
Did you have a question, Michelle?
I believe in what you do and what you do for the crew, and I believe that life at sea changes people. Is there a memorable life that you've changed by having them on Bluenose?
Good question.
Mine. I'm the poster kid for that. I was a lost kid, didn't know what I wanted to do. I was struggling in university, and I found the ship, and it changed my life. It's there if the young people want to grab it, and you see people come and they want to go do this, and some of them with 90 degree life change. Others, it's the idea of do the work first. Do the work first, then have the fun. Furl the sails, get the ship safe, then do it, right? So if they can take that away from them. I started sailing as a young kid at Lunenburg Yacht Club, and Jeremy Wood was the instructor there, Dr. Wood, right? And he taught me how to sweep the floor, right? I still sweep the floor the way that he taught me when I was 10 years old. So I think, being at sea is a great way to focus mentorship, but I think any time that you can spend with young kids, if they're receptive to listen, it will change their lives. Yeah. I know Jeremy, for one, certainly changed my life, and there was a whole string of people up through, and still today, that mentor me. And I see the mates doing it with the crew, right? That someone's having a hard day, and just turn your hand over this way. And I'm hoping that one day, when that guy's up on a ladder and he's painting the house, oh yeah, Gabe taught me this, right? Gabe taught me how to clean my brush, sharpen my scraper, that they'll take that with them. Yes. Yeah. Gabe's showing his frustrated face. Yeah. So yeah, it changes all of them one way or another. Some of them dramatically, but I hope they all leave better people with a better idea of service to something bigger. And so maybe that manifests itself that they volunteer in their community, or that they believe in something in their community needs to be saved or supported or whatever. Maybe it's just that they keep their garage clean or whatever, right? It can manifest itself in a whole lot of ways. Yeah.
You had a question. Did you have a question? No?
Yes,
Yeah.
I did. Is there any limit on the amount of time a new person can be a deckhand? I mean, they start at 19. Can someone stay as long as till they're 30 years old, or
No.
do you give other
No.
people opportunities?
It becomes self-limiting. After about 4 years, they're done. They're done. And it's funny, people leave after 1 year thinking that they've done everything, and they haven't. They've scratched the surface. It's been a very upper level thing. After 4 years, they've seen most of it. They've done most of it. they're ready to go on and use those skills somewhere else. I was looking at a picture today of crew from 2020 or something, and 3 of them are working directly in the marine industry, and another 2 of them are working sort of side by marine industry. So after 4 years, I think they're ready for responsibility of some kind. And that's just the change between when you're 21 and you're 26, right? By the time you're 30, you know, someone can say, oh, we're fun to be standing out in the rain, and you know it's really not. You know, it's not so much of an adventure anymore. You've done this before, and yeah, but when you're 19, you can stand out in the rain all day, and then go dancing all night and do it all again the next day. Yeah.
Go ahead.
When you guys are in harbor here, does the crew stay on board?
Yeah,
Like overnight?
they
Okay.
live on board.
Yeah.
There's a cook on board, washer and dryer, showers. That's their home for 6 months. The people that are local go home at night often. I encourage the crew to live on board. It's just better for camaraderie. They're better to go and have the adventures with their shipmates. All the professional, the 6 of us that are professional, all live close by. The mates do a tremendous amount of nights on board during the summer when we're in Lunenburg. But when they're not working, when they're not on duty, it's good to go and sit on your own front porch and drink your own pop for a while. And the ship is a pretty regulated environment. And when the mates are there, they're the ones enforcing the regulations. So they're working 24 hours a day. They're responsible 24 hours a day. So it's good for them to go someplace that they're not responsible and kick the trash can around the yard or whatever it is they need to do. Stick another needle in the Captain Voodoo doll.
I think we have time for one more question. Any final questions or any final questions online? No, we're good. Okay. All right. Scott's bringing it home. Last question of the night.
This is a big one. How long do you see you doing this for?
Yeah. I'm not ready. No, I'm not ready to retire yet. This year coming up will be my 40th year on the ship. Never in a million years could I have imagined that when I stepped on board in 1987. Never. Yep, it's coming. I'm getting old. I turned 60 this year, and so.
Is there a succession plan then?
Sure. You go to Tim Hortons in Lunenburg, and they can all be the captain. Yeah, my hope is that there'll always be someone coming up through the ship. Yeah, there's too much to know to be parachuted in. Yeah, in the history and the lore, and there's all kinds of ways to do things that don't really, it doesn't matter a hill of beans. They just do it, some of it the way that the mate of the day wants it done, and some of it that the captain said we're going to do it that way, and because that's the way we do it. And, but there's a whole bunch of other stuff that I think is important that is translated and comes up through. So, not this year. Unpack your sea bag. You can't come.
Phew, not this year. Awesome. Thank you so much, Captain Phil. Big round of applause. Woo. And thank you to all of you who joined us in person and to everybody online. This was the first evening in our speaker series for the winter. Our next one is coming up on the last Wednesday in February, where, as we kind of alluded to, we'll be talking about the bowsprit. So it's been a big project this year. We've replaced it. And so our speaker that evening will be Paul Baskett from Old Town Boatworks. And he will be getting into the details of what constructing a new bowsprit is all about, sort of what that process is and materials, why we've needed to do it, and really kind of get into the nitty-gritty of how you build a really giant spar and the decisions that you need to make when you're doing that kind of project. So we hope you'll come back again. We will put some details on social media, of course, and like we did for this one, we'll give people the opportunity to sign up, and we'll send you some email reminders about that coming up. I think it's the 25th
whatever is the last Wednesday in February. And so again, here at the boat shop at 7:00 p.m. Atlantic time, and of course on YouTube Live as well. So thank you, everybody. Thanks for coming.